Hey everybody, Coach Michael here for an open class. We are going to go through a bunch of emails today, and we're going to move kind of quickly because a lot of emails have been coming in, as Coach Daniel mentioned before. So I'm going to go through about, I think, 6 of them. We'll get right to it. So hold on, here we go. The first email is from Layla. Hi, Daniel and or Mike. Hope you are both well and life is being good to you. I got in touch with you last August about some issues and your advice was terrific. Improved my sleep enormously and I can't thank you enough. Since I last spoke to you, I've had no sleepless nights at all, but a bit of a bumpy road to recovery. Let's just say I haven't really gotten a pattern. I have miscellaneous sleep. I like that term. Just as an example, my usual week presently is about 3 nights of my normal sleep, 6.5 to 7 hours, and the other 4 are a bit all over the place. Maybe 1 or 2 bad ones. A bad night for me now is 3 to 4 hours, and the other 2 are either about 5 to 6.5, or if I've had a couple of bad nights, they'll be followed by 8 to sometimes 9 or 10 hours, which feels way too much for me. All these days can alternate or be a few days in a row. I usually do fall asleep at a similar time on each of these nights, say on a normal night between midnight and 1, between 3 and 4 a.m. on the bad nights, and the long nights I crash at about 11. I do wake up around the same time each day between 7 and 8 a.m. That part of my body clock seems to be doing okay. My questions: 1, do I need to concern myself with how much sleep I get every night and not having a quote sleep pattern as such? 2, do I consistently need to make up for lost sleep? I still get up in the mornings and analyze how much sleep I had, which is really a no-no, isn't it? Not to mention it annoys everyone around me. When I've had great sleep over a consistent period, I can guarantee the reason that I slept so well was because I simply wasn't thinking about it at all. 3, does it matter if sleep is broken? Is it okay if you wake up, say, after 4 hours, can't settle back down, but relax for an hour or so, then get more sleep? I usually properly wake up once a night, but go straight back into sleep after about 5 to 10 minutes. But on a bad night, it can take me a while to get back to sleep. 4, sleep cycles need not worry me as you can't control them, right? Have I got that right? 5, sometimes particularly after an 8 to 10 hour sleep, I can actually feel exhausted, but after my favored 6.5 to 7 hours, I feel great. Is that normal? I'm thinking as long as you feel good and are getting through the day with no problems, then there's no problem. Is that right? Thank you for all your help and your hard work. I've learned so much from your channel. Can't thank you enough. This channel is a lifesaver for so many people. Life isn't perfect and neither are humans, but that's what makes us interesting. All the best to you, the very best to you both. Layla. Thank you, Layla. Great questions. And we have a lot to go through today, but your questions, I'm going to kind of summarize. Your questions are, is it okay if sleep is not the same every night? And the answer is yes, it's perfectly fine. You commented that you do okay during the day. Your morning is pretty consistent. You sometimes fall asleep earlier than other times. Your sleep stages, you call them sleep cycles. Most people, or some people, think of them as sleep stages. Whatever it is, yeah, your brain regulates that. It just takes care of it all. So I think the only thing is that you want to be careful about really analyzing your sleep too much. I think you mentioned that when you do that, I think you said, quote, it annoys everyone around you or something like that. So yeah, don't hyperanalyze your sleep. Enjoy whatever you're doing if you're awake at night. Well, I should say when you're awake at night, because everyone wakes up more than once every single night. And have that attitude towards your sleep, where you're not trying to control it. You're not trying to analyze it. You're not trying to figure out how much sleep you got. I saw a lot of I call them points. So when people talk about how much sleep they get, instead of saying like 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, they say like 5.5, 5.8 or 6.2 or whatever it is. You want to be careful about that. Perception of actual sleep time is really inaccurate. And so don't get caught up in that. So I think you're doing great. Thank you for your email. And I'm going through a lot today, and we've been getting so many emails in. We're trying to keep up with it all, but sometimes we have to kind of paraphrase a little bit. And we kind of pare them down just for purposes of time. But hopefully I kind of Layla, hopefully that provided some insight for you there. All right, so let's now go to our second email that came in, and that is from Hannah. I've asked a question here before. I hope it's okay to follow up. I've been allotting 8 hours of total time in bed at night because I want to be with my husband when he goes to sleep. However, I suspect that I don't need 8 hours on most nights. So I either watch a show or shows on my laptop for some time or read. Many times I've fallen asleep watching a show and turned it off without being too aware. I've slept mostly through the night several times this way. Lately, however, I've wondered if the show is becoming a sleep effort. I've experienced a couple of rough nights recently in which I fall asleep to the show, wake up 20 to 30 minutes later, approximately, turn it off, and then lie there suddenly awake. I then turn the show back on, get drowsy again, experience the same cycle. Sometimes this happens several times until I'm so frustrated and exhausted that I think I've undone all the sleep progress I've previously made. My question is, if I turn on the show or read whenever I cannot sleep, is this training my brain to wake up? To be clear, I no longer feel much anxiety as bedtime approaches. I do not watch the clock. I wake up at the same time each morning, and a bad night of sleep rarely affects my day, except for processing the emotions of a sleepless night. So I've made some real progress. But the psychology involved in maintaining sleep confidence is slippery. It feels like as soon as I make progress in one area, a new problem arises. Thanks for any light you can shed on the potential sleep efforts or ways I might be sabotaging myself unknowingly. Hannah. Okay, Hannah. So what you have described is pretty common, right? Your first question, is it a sleep effort? It could be. I've said before, anything can be a sleep effort, but not everything has to be a sleep effort. It's how you perceive it. So if you are kind of feeling, if you get to the point feeling like you have to kind of flip open that laptop and watch a show to get to sleep or back to sleep, it's not, you're not training your brain to wake up. You are teaching yourself, you're telling your brain that you need something. And so, yeah, it sounds like it's becoming a sleep effort, right? If you think that you need to do something or not do something in order to sleep, that's a sleep effort. And it sounds like, yeah, it's kind of becoming that. It's interesting you mentioned the shows on the laptop being associated with that, but not the reading. You commented briefly that you sometimes read. So I don't know if you have that same experience, like if you put a book down and turn off the lamp, if you kind of become more alert, or if that is not as associated with that. So I'm kind of a fan of reading before bed because I think it's a way to perceive yourself getting sleepy in a more salient, kind of tangible way rather than a screen. It's not the light exposure from the screen. That has nothing to do with it. It's simply a way to, a platform, a way, a method to allow you to maybe get a little better at kind of detecting that you're truly sleepy, which is kind of different, even in a way more than being tired. So yeah, I would say, that's something that you have to decide. I think it is a sleep effort. It kind of sounds like it. Sounds like it's the rest of your sleep and everything seems fine, and you've made tons of progress. And I might just encourage you to, to do something that that you enjoy, that you don't link with sleep. So maybe it's sitting up, maybe it's leaving the bed, whatever. It doesn't really matter, but go for the timeless night. Same with Layla in your email, also the timeless night, really good strategy there. Try to enjoy yourself and what you're doing at night, and your brain will kind of cue into that, right? That being awake isn't a threat. And once that happens, usually sleep gets a whole lot easier. So yeah, that's just some feedback there. Hopefully that provides a little bit of insight and guidance for you, Hannah. Thank you so much for your email. Yeah, and I just want to point out that word problem. So yeah, I'm glad you put it in quotes, because being awake at night is not a problem. It's whether you perceive it as a problem that could be the problem, if that makes sense. Okay, hang in there, Hannah. I think you're going to be just fine. From Pat. Hi, Daniel and Michael. I hope you are both doing well. I miss your videos, but guess what? I don't think I need them any longer. Over the past 2 months, I've made quite a bit of progress and feel as though I'm over my sleep problems. Knock on wood. Both you and Martin Reed, our friend Martin Reed, have been mainly responsible for my progress. And I'm fairly certain that this is why. This is why my sleep problems are nearly gone. I think about sleep less and less, and I'm no longer fearful of wakefulness. I've accepted that if and when I do wake up during the night, that it's okay and to be expected. So a huge thank you to you both for the great content on your channel. The insights into insomnia have been spot on and so helpful. truly, I will always be grateful. Best to both of you. Pat, thank you so much for your kind words. We love getting messages like that. And there was something in there quickly I was just going to comment on. You said, if/when I wake up at night. I want to just illustrate. There it is. If and when I do wake at night. That's such a great, you may not have realized it when you wrote that, but everyone wakes up more than once every night. That's one thing I learned when I became a sleep technician back in the 1980s. That was one of the first things I realized. Everyone wakes up briefly multiple times every night. So then the key for sleep and to move past insomnia is to learn to react in a helpful way to being awake at night. And so I think that's just really interesting when you type that little phrase caught my eye there. So you're doing great. So great to hear, and thank you for your kind words. Really, really appreciate that. Okay, next we have, jumping around my screens here, from Steve. Okay, hello coaches. I've been watching your videos for a while now, and I appreciate all the info you give. Thanks a lot. You're welcome. Absolutely. I've always been an expert sleeper for as long as I can remember. However, for just over a year now, I've been suffering from chronic hypnic jerks that started very suddenly while taking a nap one day last February and have not relented. They happen to me almost every night upon sleeping and in the morning, and have shaved hours off my sleep. They do not feel like falling, more like electric shock. They're usually accompanied by a shot of adrenaline, which makes going back to sleep very hard. I know I've heard you and others say this is normal. I just can't wrap my head around this. I understand you mentioned hyperarousal as being the culprit, which I understand, but these are not movements that I would not notice if I wasn't looking for them. I've had several tests done and they have come back normal. It feels like my nervous system is on high alert, and no amount of deep breathing or actually feeling calm takes it away. Nobody can tell me what is going on. This has really damaged my sleep and life, and it scares me. I just want it to stop. Thanks, Steve. Okay. Yeah, Steve, that's challenging. It was interesting that you mentioned that this happened one time in a nap, I think. Maybe a year or so ago, I think February, I'm assuming it was last year. So, it's sort of like you've heard us say that you can become fearful of something very quickly, but then becoming unfearful of that thing can take a while. So, I can't offer medical advice. You've had tests done, you've talked to doctors, so I can't comment on that. I just know, when you said, we've said that this is a normal experience. It's normal in the setting of a strong degree of hyperarousal. That's when it's normal. So, it's when a person starts kind of like searching for ways to make it go away, to wanting it to go away. I mean, it's perfectly normal to search and do testing and, kind of evaluate your health and all of that, of course. But when it comes to sleep, it sounds to me kind of like it's something that happened just kind of randomly during a nap, and and you perceived it as something like really powerful, really significant, and something that you needed to solve. And because it's sleep related, that triggers insomnia. So it's a tough one, and I understand where you are and where you're coming from. And and you should be in contact with your doctors. You should be working with them to see if there's something, neurological or something. There's no way for us to comment on that, to know. But when it comes to sleep, you want to be careful that you're not searching for, the magic solution. There is no magic solution to insomnia. It's a change in thinking that really is what is required. Not perceiving being awake at night as a threat, understanding that your day can go on normally regardless of your night. And when you can develop that kind of mindset towards your sleep, then, and the timeless nights, of course, all the other things that we've talked about, that's usually when sleep starts to become easier. So there's just a few comments there. I know you wrote a longer email. We have to kind of like paraphrase again because we're getting so many emails and it's hard. We don't have the time to go through every bit of every email. But hopefully that offered you a little bit of guidance or a little bit of support. And let us know how you're doing, okay? Appreciate your email very much. Okay, next from Martin. Hello, I've been having really bad insomnia slash sleep deprivation for a month now. I'm basically running on very little sleep throughout the weeks. Most nights I don't get any sleep at all, not even naps. My brain just won't let me sleep. I've had mild insomnia for years, but it was nothing extreme until I went to a gun range and the gunshots were really loud and somehow elevated my insomnia, causing me to be sleep deprived. I've made changes to my diet. I've been exercising, meditating, reading, and spending less time watching TV, playing video games. I'm running out of options. What should I do to get my 8 hours back again? Thanks, Martin. Okay, so about a month of trouble sleeping. Okay, yeah. So it sounds like, your insomnia started with it, being around loud noises at a gun range. That doesn't necessarily do anything like physiological to you to disrupt your sleep. It's just an event that was associated with the start of it. And it's that first, sometimes it's like a really specific thing, and that's one thing I ask people when I work with a client. I say, did your insomnia start really like specifically from something in your mind, or did it just sort of become a thing? And that, I think that's helpful to understand and to recognize. And for you, it sounds like it was kind of tied to that. And that sort of triggered your mind starting to search for the answer. Why is this happening to me? What sleep used to be easy. Now it's not. It can take just one night sometimes. One night of disrupted sleep doesn't mean you have insomnia, but if it changes your thinking about your sleep, then you've started down that road to insomnia. And so it's the change in thinking that is required to reverse that. So I think it's what you're saying is it's not uncommon. Here you're talking about doing a lot of things for sleep, made changes to your diet, exercising, meditating, all these kinds of things. They're efforts, right? None of those will make you sleep. You might sleep after doing one of those and then think that was the thing that made you sleep, but it's not. Sleep happens with lack of effort, absence of effort. Once you are not attending to your sleep, you're not giving it focus, you're not trying anything specifically for sleep, that's when sleep gets easier. It's a very paradoxical thing. Sleep is this huge paradox. So that's the approach you have to take. And specifically 8 hours, just be cautious about that, because it's really basically impossible to know how much you're sleeping exactly. So I don't encourage anyone to monitor their exact sleep hours, and whatever you're using to monitor it is not going to be accurate. So your brain will just take care of how much sleep you need, and it kind of regulates itself, right? So those are just some thoughts there, Martin. Hopefully there was something in there that was helpful and insightful for you. Let's jump to the next one from Tom. Hi, I'm dealing with fragmented sleep. I'm able to fall asleep, but then I wake up 5 or 6 times a night, go to the bathroom. I'm able to fall back asleep, but wake up exhausted in the morning. Okay, fragmented sleep, able to fall asleep, but then wake up a few times and unable to get back to sleep, but wake up exhausted in the morning, or able to fall back asleep. Wake up exhausted in the morning. I do not have apnea. I don't know why this is happening, and it's been going on for a long time, but worse lately. I'm very healthy and normally very active. This is really dragging me down. Is this something that you can help with? I'm seeing a sleep doctor, and he's tried meds to help with daytime sleepiness, but they haven't worked so far. And if I didn't have fragmented sleep, I wouldn't need any meds. What do you think is causing the frequent awakenings? Tom. Okay, it's interesting. So that's, again, another thing as a sleep coach I like to ask about is, like, are you having trouble with sleep initiation, or is it like frequent awakenings, like brief awakenings? So that kind of helps, like, kind of determine what the experience the person's having is. And so what then it becomes, in my mind, if someone's experiencing what you're experiencing, Tom, it's kind of like, it seems like it's one of two things. It's either something like a true sleep disorder, or a medication effect or something like that. You're talking to your doctor about that. They're ruling things out. That's great. The other side of it is that if you're starting to wonder why you're having these awakenings, and like you didn't have them, now you're having them, and it starts you thinking like, what am I doing wrong? I need to fix this. That's more of the insomnia side of things, and that is what generates and maintains the hyperarousal associated with insomnia. So that takes a different approach. Okay, that's where you educate yourself about sleep, understand the passive nature of sleep, and how sleep efforts work, the gas break model. All these kinds of things really help. So that's what I gleaned when I read your email. That's kind of what I was thinking. And I'm good that you're working with your sleep doctor, of course, to rule out that side of things. Okay. And then we have, let's see, that was it. Okay. Got through them all. Didn't mean to race through these, but we have a ton of emails coming in. And I know we don't like to do these have super long broadcasts because people kind of tune out. So right about that 20-minute mark on this one. So thank you so much, everyone, for your emails. Keep them coming in. We'll do our best to get to them. If you can be kind of, to the point in your emails, that really helps us out. I know that everyone has a ton of backstory. I understand, and we do read them, but we can't, for the sake of time, go through all of that on these open classes. So if you can, whatever you can do, try to get, pretty straightforward in your backstory and your question, and we will definitely get to them as best that we can. Okay. Thank you everyone for so much for your supporting this channel. It's just wonderful. And, hearing the success stories as well, everything is just great. If you want anything else that's coming up, we have our workshop on webinar workshop this Saturday at 10 a.m. Pacific time. You can go to thesleepcoachschool.com and there's a place to sign up right there. It's limited. And so you want to check it out. If you're interested in a 90-minute workshop where Coach Daniel is going to do this one, he's going to start off talking about the gas break model for maybe the first third of the class. And then there's going to be a ton of QA, just question and answer. Just bring your, have your questions there. And for 90 minutes, it's kind of in a Zoom format for a limited number of people. There'll be our first webinar workshop. So it's all at thesleepcoachschool.com. Okay, everybody. Thank you so much, and I'll see you later. Take care. Bye-bye.